News now at this hour begins with updates on the U.S. elections where Republicans have won control of the U.S. Senate with wins in West Virginia and Ohio, ensuring Donald Trump's party will control at least one congressional chamber next year. Now, Tuesday's results have strengthened Republican influence, enabling them to support Trump's judicial and government appointments if he wins the presidency, or to block much of Democrat Kamala Harris's agenda should she prevail. Now, in West Virginia, Republican Jim Justice also won the Senate seat formerly held by Democrat-turned-independent Joe Manchin, while Ohio's Bernie Moreno defeated incumbent Democrat Sherrod Brown, securing a 51-49 majority in the Senate. Now, Republicans have also won key House seats, expanding their 220-212 majority. In a notable outcome, Delaware voters elected Democrat Sarah McBride, making her the first openly transgender member of Congress. However, final results are still pending in some races. Now, to discuss this, we're joined by Dr. David Matanga, an African Affairs analyst. Hello, Dr. Matanga. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the news.
Good morning in Lagos. Thank you very much, my dear sister. This is great. I think you must update yourself. It is already 260 seats. Trump has taken it. It is already flash where I am, and you look up, your producer should update you. It's 200. Yes, he has taken it. It's over. It's over.
All right. Well, you already believe it's over, but some people are still hopeful. But then let's talk about, how you think the Republican control of the Senate will affect the U.S.-Africa relations, particularly in terms of trade, security, and development cooperation.
Thank you very much. The Senate is one of the most stumbling blocks that has been at times. You remember at one time the United States almost came to a standstill because there was quite a lot of the Congress and the Senate. People could not pass the bill, and Biden begged them until they gave in. So if you win it, which I believe they might go to about 56 seats, not only 52, but 56. Because if you look at the numbers now, because I'm linked directly with what it is, with the Trump 266 versus 219. So it is already indeed 4 seats to cross over the mark, and he has already made his speech. So that coming in, and then the House of Congress coming up, it is over. And that will be very good for Africa. That will bring better protection. Africa was actually, becoming a target of so many things. And I'm as a Pan-African, I'm very happy that something will stop. Wars will stop. You need some good voice now to stop the war in the Middle East. It is extending and coming in slowly through Sudan. As a man who has spoken passionately about Sudan, what is going on in Sudan, I'm very happy that Trump come and stop this.
Okay, now, Dr. Matanga, what policy changes, can Africa expect from a Republican-controlled Senate, especially regarding issues like climate change, global health, and migration?
Trump originally was against something to do with global change, but America cannot run away from them being the biggest polluter. With global change, the biggest polluters are China, France, and other countries. They must pay. And we should not talk to them, begging them. They must give us this money. Promises. We are going for another COP 29, or is it COP 29? Whatever we are going now, we are going in one of the states in Eastern Europe for COP29, but they have not paid him money for COP26. They promised money. They told us they will send us, will give money. Africa is a victim of the climate change. We don't have those industries that produce carbon dioxide and whatever other emission gases that come out of their industries. We don't. They just pollute and kill. They cause all these problems on Africa. So this time we should, as Africa, and we should, and I ask President William Ruto, who is the chairman for the region, to press for money. Money must come out, promises, not pledges. The weather, you can see the weather is killing almost you.
All right, Dr. Matanga, now speaking of promises, you know, what implications do the election results have for especially African diaspora community in the United States, you know, particularly when it comes to representation and policy priorities?
The policy priorities will shift. There's one thing that you cannot work under war. One of the things that Trump should, and we Trump supporters worldwide and the globe who write the papers, and some of them are used by these agencies who we want Africa to have a peaceful Africa without war. We want the war in Sudan to end. We want the war in Libya to end. We want war in Amazonia and Cameroon to end. We want Boko Haram to be wiped so that Nigeria can come back and be the powerhouse of Africa. We want DRC Congo war ended. We want Mozambique war ended. That is the policy that we are going to tell, and we can stick together and tell America. I mean, the other American of Joe Biden was not. The other American of Joe Biden was giving us things we don't know. We don't give options. Look at my own country, Uganda. We were struck out of the list, moved from AGOA. Our products cannot be sold in the US. What wrong have we done? Nothing. So some of these things are going to change. New Democrats with Republicans in office. Africa will benefit in that. Like Clinton did. Africa, the only who did very well, my dear sister, was Clinton. Africa, he saved Africa. And then another Republican who did very well was Bush Jr. He did very well for Africa. Money for AIDS, he gave money for other malaria, all diseases. Obama left us with nothing. Joe Biden gave us promises. He took our presidents in the White House.
All right,
but
Dr.
he gave them
Matanga.
nothing.
Sadly, time is not on our side, and we wish this was actually a long conversation, but we'll have to wrap up here. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this.
Thank you very much. All the time, let's have the conversation on Friday, and I'll continue at it. Thank you. Bless you. God bless Africa. Everybody keep united. Thank you.
Away from that, Nigeria has once again been plunged into darkness following a collapse of the national power grid on Tuesday afternoon, leaving millions without electricity and impacting businesses and essential services nationwide. Now, this latest collapse marks yet another in a series of grid failures in November 2024, highlighting ongoing challenges within the energy infrastructure. Now, according to the Nigerian system operator, power generation dropped to 0 megawatts around 2 p.m., affecting all 22 operational power generation companies across the country. The Transmission Company of Nigeria confirmed the collapse, describing it as a partial disturbance that began at approximately 1:52 p.m. due to a series of line and generator trippings that destabilized the grid. The TCN has, however, released a statement assuring Nigerians that ITS engineers are working to restore bulk power supply to the affected areas as swiftly as possible. Now, to discuss this, we're joined by Dr. Idowu Oyebanjo, his MD, Idfon Power Engineering Consultants Limited. Good morning, Idowu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to our listeners, viewers worldwide. I cannot be as enthusiastic as your last guest, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's always like that. All right, thank you for joining us once again. Now, the last time we spoke, we talked about how the grid collapsed in 2 weeks, 3 times, and we're seeing it happen again, in November, and it's slowly becoming a norm as Nigerians are beginning to expect it at least once every month. Now, how can Nigeria's power infrastructure be upgraded to prevent future collapses and ensure reliable electricity supply?
There are a number of things that can be done, many of which we have highlighted in our previous discussions, but we have to keep on talking about it because that's the only way we can continue to advocate for a better power system. One, the Electricity Act, which was signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last year in June 2023, is a veritable means of ensuring that we limit the impact of grid collapses in Nigeria. So what this means is that people should be talking to their state governors now and asking questions. Why have we not done what Geometric Power Plant has done in Abia State? Why have we not done what Ekiti State, Enugu, Imo, Ondo, and the likes have done, Edo, in their state, starting their electricity commission? And this electricity commission to also do what Ekiti State did in a few days ago by putting out adverts and letting generators come, distributors come and apply in their private electricity market, so fully they can build their 130 megawatt power system for their state and for their citizens. By now, all governors should have done that, and for reasons left to many, they have not. So that's one. Decentralization is what that means, making the federating units to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity for their citizens and take care of their economy themselves. So that's one. Another one, which is one of the things that affected the last 2 collapses, is protection. So we have protection of equipment to avoid vandalism. It should be a real priority. And also protection systems for the power networks. In this case, that's a technical term referring to the combination of relays and circuit breakers, which are meant to isolate a problematic part of the network so that they don't affect the other parts of the network and cause grid collapse.
Okay.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was actually going to say, but what about, generator and line trippings, that they said happened around 1 before, the grid finally partially collapsed. What role does it play in grid instability, and what measures can be taken to, minimize their impact?
In fact, protection, coordination is a major problem of the Nigerian power system. And it is a highly technical part of power system. It is not just for the boys. It's for those who are the best of the best of the best to be able to handle. Protection is one of the main reasons why you have a power system like that of the UK, the US, in continental Europe, stable. If you don't have adequate protection systems, if your protection systems lack grading, proper grading, if your protection system lacks coordination, we call it, your system will continue to wobble. Once one part trips, whether correctly or incorrectly, it will lead to a cascade of tripping. Let me tell you the fact. A power system like Nigeria's has no proper coordination, has no proper settings. And you asked the right question. How do you get it right? Meritocracy, meritocracy, meritocracy. Those who understand power systems thoroughly will sit down and write a new protection standard for Nigeria, write a new protection philosophy for Nigeria, calculate the protection settings for all equipment in Nigeria, grade that network properly. This is significant knowledge of power system that's required. We have made proposition to the authorities. We have given them how to do it, and we have told them at the call, at an emergency, this is my baby, my forte, this is what I do in my practice in the United Kingdom, and many other people also can do it, but this is what you have to do. You have to get the protection barrier, and I tell you, if you do that, your system will come right.
Okay, now you've actually spoken, in the long term, but in 1 minute, can you just tell us, what emergency response strategies can be implemented to quickly restore power supply after a grid collapse? Because even as I speak to you, some places in Lagos, like the Ojodu area, are still yet to, get power.
So, well, decentralization will help. Just imagine it as a grid, interconnected. Once there is a fault in one part of it, and it's not isolated from the rest, which is what protection does, to isolate it quickly from the rest, then the others will work with, and then to put it back will take time. Power system is robust, it has inertia, we say. So it takes time for things to build up and to come back. It takes really, really some time. So we just have to look at it that way and live with it for now until we split that system into regions. They will still be interconnected so that we can move power flow from the north to the south, to the east, to the west, but it will localize problems in any region quickly. But adequate protection system is where you need to go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Oyebanjo, for speaking to us on this morning.
Thank you.
And now we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you how President Bola Tinubu promotes Acting Chief of Army Staff Olufemi Oluyede to Lieutenant General. We'll bring you details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Reactions have continued to trail the arrest and detention of the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election and immediate past governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, over alleged diversion of 1.3 trillion naira. The 1.3 trillion naira reportedly represents the 13% derivation fund from the Federation account between 2015 and 2023. News Central correspondent Austin Azu tells us more.
Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had on Monday arrested the former governor of Delta State and detained him at their facility in Port Harcourt over alleged diversion of 1.3 trillion naira, which represents 13% derivation fund from the Federation account between 2015 and 2023. In Asaba, the Delta State capital, mixed reactions have continued to trail the former governor's arrest.
Now today I don't know say the arrest Okowa. What Okowa do now? Master of fraud now. What they go to arrest master of fraud? No, na my first time to hear say they arrest Okowa. I beg who arrest Okowa make them bail am, I beg. Okowa na our right man. He try for Asaba. At least he make Asaba look okay. I hear that here but that news, to me, I think they don't know a political sabotage. They want to spoil his name because I know Okowa right from times.
Spokesperson for the Delta State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, a prominent human rights advocate and public affairs analyst, has described the former governor's arrest and detention as politically motivated.
Within the 8 years of Okowa's government, the total budget was roughly 3 trillion naira. You can't tell me he diverted 40-something% or misappropriated 40-something% of every money that came of the full budget. It's absurd.
Of course, this is a politically motivated investigation. We all know, even a brainless fowl knows that. But the good news is they say a sinner man run it when no man pursue it. He says Okowa did not run. He didn't run like the Ayabello that has been taking shade with his the present governor of Kogi State.
But by and large, I will not subscribe to any act of wasting the people's fund. So it is left for EFCC to do a due diligence, and if he is found guilty, they cannot think of how to do prosecution.
According to Labour Party's National Vice Chairman for the Southside Zone, Tony Ezeagu, the EFCC's invitation to the former governor is a standard procedure for the anti-graft agency unless proven guilty by a competent court.
But whatever it is, we will want to wait, because I am sure that you know that Labour Party is not part of those who, discuss or talk anyhow. We want to talk and be sure of what we are saying. We want to be positive. So at the end of the day, we leave all the things in the hands of EFCC, who have opened it to do the needful.
After the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa has made history as the first immediate past governor from the South-South region to be probed by the EFCC over allegations of misappropriating public funds while in office. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Let's head to Edo State now, where the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, has called for the probe of the ownership of the Radisson Blu Hotel situated in Benin City, the state capital. The Deputy Governor, while reacting to questions from newsmen at his investiture by the Edo State Journalists Association, commended the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for arresting several officials of the state government, urging them to spread their nets further. Amadine Uyi reports.
It was a session with journalists of Edo State extraction with the Deputy Governor of the state, Philip Shaibu, and several key politicians. One of those in attendance, a former lawmaker, urged the media to be steadfast in their vocation, saying they remain the last hope of the common man.
You all are the last hope that will put Nigeria in the world map. Because the government as we see today, sir, we are sitting on a can of a gunpowder. Because some people want to derail the wheel of progress of moving this country forward. Some people who believe that this country, that they are the owner.
The Deputy Governor of the state reacted to events playing out in the state, bordering on the arrest of several key officials by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
It's not just the governor that is an issue now, or the commissioners, or the suburb chairmen and the rest. No, not only them. The civil servants also, some of the permanent secretary, that is why ICPC will also come in. There's this one in Abulele. Obviously, ICPC and EFCC, he is both ICPC and EFCC. We have to pick in Abulele also.
He also called for a probe of the ownership of the Radisson Blu Hotel in the state, saying it remains the property of the state government and should not be allowed to be claimed by the outgoing governor.
The issue of Radisson Blu, I'm passionate about it because Radisson Blu belongs to Edo State government. Radisson Blu, they are trying to take it, and I think the next governor or others should. It's Edo State, Radisson Blu is Edo State, and I'm using this medium to please advise Radisson Blu not to bring their name into disrepute. They should immediately delete their name from that property for now. If not, Radisson Blu that have built an image for itself will be brought down, because that structure belongs to Edo State government. Over 29 billion. We started with 14 billion, then to 19, now over 29 billion. And somebody would come and tell us Edo State has no, our share our investment is more. 29 billion is more.
The Deputy Governor was commended for his commitment to standing by the rule of law and appointed as the patron of the State Association of Journalists. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Now, the federal government has reversed the decision to set a minimum admission age of 18 for entry into Nigerian tertiary institutions in a significant policy shift. During his inaugural press briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, Education Minister Tunji Alausa unveiled his blueprint for the nation's education sector with the rollback of the 18-year age limit as a primary focus. The minister stated he would collaborate with JAM and universities to allow students as young as 16 to enroll in tertiary institutions. However, Alausa affirmed that there would be no change in the government's stance on nullifying over 22,700 degree certificates obtained by Nigerians from unaccredited universities in neighboring Togo and Benin Republic, stressing a commitment to uphold educational standards. Abia State government says it has concluded plans to relocate the faculties of Law and Agriculture of Abia State University to the main campus in Uturu. Commissioner for Information, Oke Kanu, disclosed this to journalists in Umuahia during a press briefing on the decisions of the Executive Council of the state. News Central's Chinwe Ogele reports that this plan is eliciting reactions from students and parents alike.
2017, when the then governor of Abia State, Okezie Ikpeazu, moved the College of Law in the state-owned university to Umuahia, the Abia State capital. But in a twist of plot, the incumbent governor, Alex Otti, has ordered the relocation of the faculty as well as that of agriculture to the main campus in Uturu, citing white paper recommendations.
His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti has directed that the Umuahia campus be relocated back to Uturu without delay.
But following this development, the law students of the university say the decision does not in any way favor them.
To us, we feel that the best thing the government could have done is to maybe bring more students to this campus so that it will help the campus to be more lively. But even at that, us going back to Uturu, Uturu is good, it's a good campus, but then look at the challenges facing due to the main campus, the lack of water, the lack of accommodation, the lack of road, the lack of security.
It's going there to start afresh, to start building a new faculty and to start, putting up all those things. Time and students' activities will actually be hampered a lot much. If it's possible to scrap out that plan and look for other things in making this place more effective.
They say the main campus lacks the necessary amenities and facilities that aid their studies.
In Uturu, there's no light at all. Completely, there's no light and water hardly comes. The network there is bad. And, given to legal research, we have to have internet, we have to have a lot of things that will aid our learning. And if these things are completely taken away from us, because that's what is going to happen, but eventually we are going to that place. If it's completely taken away from us, then it's almost as if we are not even reading law in the first place.
Ever since we know, we have been here and we have been enjoying the atmosphere as it enables us to study our law, and we have access to Minister of Justice, we have access to courts, we have access to light and water, we have access to library and everything. Then us hearing that the state government wants to relocate us is something that bothers us.
Ifoma Osunko, a parent and one-time law student of the same university in the main campus, compares both locations.
So that like in a class they have up to like 300 students or thereabout. So and the hostels in Uturu, I don't think they have such a massive hostel that can accommodate them. That is one. Then secondly, I don't think there is any courts that they can access there, because like even when they say let them come to Okigwe, there are the courts in Okigwe, they have all relocated to Owerri.
Government has already started making plans for the Faculty of Agriculture to move first, despite the benefits of its present location, which has National Roots Crop Research Institute, Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, all in the same vicinity with the Faculty of Agriculture. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ogele.
Now, the upcoming governorship election in Ondo State, Nigeria, have drawn attention to long-standing concerns regarding the safety of journalists covering elections in the country. dealing with challenges like physical confrontation and harassment while reporting on Nigeria's electoral process for years. Media professionals continue advocating for freedom of the press and journalist safety, noting that such protections are paramount to ensuring credible and transparent elections. News Central's Igbalani Omoni provides more details.
Reports indicated that at least 28 journalists were harassed, beaten and denied access while covering Nigerian elections in 2023.
Immediately they opened the door, they picked the camera. Process of taking the camera, we are trying to see, one of our team was trying to see how he can get the camera. They used the camera on the ground.
The election in Kano for me was the worst, talking about the presidential elections and then the governorship election. Myself and my camera operator were threatened at some point. At some point, I was even robbed. I had his phone picked from my pockets, and it could have gotten worse.
With over 700 media personnel accredited to cover the forthcoming Ondo gubernatorial election, the Electoral Commission, INEC, and security forces have promised maximum security.
As the Ondo State governorship election approaches, I appeal to the media to intensify your accurate reportage that will ensure peaceful elections, especially now that campaign by political parties and candidates is in full swing in the state.
With the upcoming off-cycle gubernatorial election in Ondo State, the local government council elections nationwide, and the challenges of the current ember months, our vigilance and commitment to enhance security are paramount.
However, media practitioners note that more needs to be done as harm to media personnel undermines the integrity of the electoral process and democratic institutions.
As we look forward to the upcoming gubernatorial election in Ondo State, and indeed other by-elections coming up in some constituencies, I want to underscore the need for the safety and protection of our journalists.
What would progress like that look like? It would look like security agencies and agencies who are meant to execute laws and all of that, to begin to look at the work of journalists as something that can be regarded as allies rather than as opponents. We're not opponents.
So safety of journalists, as a matter of fact, will eventually translate into accountability of the votes that have been cast and possibly a good result at the end.
While media personnel should be properly trained for election coverage and provided equipment and safety gears, experts maintain that ensuring journalists' safety should be a top priority for all stakeholders involved. Attacks on journalists, they say, should be thoroughly investigated and perpetrators held accountable. In Lagos for News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
President Bola Tinubu has promoted the acting chief of army staff, Olufemi Oluyede, to the rank of Lieutenant General. Now, the brief decoration ceremony took place at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday, elevating Oluyede from Major General just days after his appointment as acting army chief. Pending Senate confirmation, Oluyede is poised to become the permanent chief of army staff, officially replacing General Taoreed Lagbaja. Now, his appointment was initially announced by presidential spokesman Bayo Ononuga on October 30, following widespread rumors about the status of General Lagbaja. The defense headquarters has since dismissed those reports, clarifying that Lagbaja is currently on leave. In Lagos, a commercial driver is on the run after allegedly assaulting an officer of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, or LASMA, in the Mile 2 area on Tuesday. Now, according to LASMA spokesperson Adebayo Taufik, the incident began when officers approached the driver for a traffic violation. In a shocking turn of events, the driver reportedly resisted arrest, dousing the vehicle and some officers with petrol before setting it ablaze and fleeing the scene. The officer involved sustained severe burns and has since been taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Now, Taufik confirmed that the efforts are underway to locate the driver and his assistant, pledging that those responsible for the attack will be held accountable. In 2024, Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit has opened in Abuja. Now, the three-day summit themed Adapting Stability Through Diaspora Investment, Navigating the Path to Prosperity, seeks to attract investments in all key sectors of the nation's economy, identified as crucial for spurring growth and development. News Central's business correspondent Perpetua Fasomi Peter was there.
Nigerians in the diaspora are considered key contributors to the country's economic growth due to their remittances, which has become a major contributor to the country's GDP and overall socio-economic development. The 7th Annual Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit brought to the fore some of the challenges faced by diasporan investors, while shining light on their achievement to encourage more investors. The Nigerian government, however, emphasized the importance of strengthening the naira for foreign exchange, hence the reform of various policies to attract more investors.
One of our first critical steps in this stability journey was removing the fuel subsidy, which had hitherto drained approximately $10 billion of our funds annually. Ladies and gentlemen, in our journey towards stability and prosperity, we recognize that bold action was necessary in managing our foreign exchange market. This led to taking a significant step of unifying the multiple exchange rates that had long caused market distortions and stifled our economic growth.
Investors may have their fears concerning investing in Nigeria due to the devaluation of naira and security challenges, amongst others, but government is assuring diasporans of maximum protection of their investment. Stakeholders believe this assurance is important to encourage investors.
So Nigeria needs to do what they have to do, and I'm glad SGF is here. Infrastructural development, yes, we know the roads need to be done, power, everything. But this administration is working on all that to ensure that we have the right infrastructure in place for investors who are coming into Nigeria. Security, of course, is an issue, but there are security reforms going on to ensure that your investments are also protected.
So as we gather here today to engage, deliberate, and inspire one another, let us make the most of this platform. It's more than just a meeting, it is a movement. It is a movement that cannot be stopped. It is a call to action, inviting us all to harness our collective energies, our ideas, and our resources to shape a prosperous country, the country of our dreams, for us, for our children, and for our grandchildren, all future generations to come.
Nigeria raked in about $99 billion in the last 5 years from remittances, according to NIDCOM. The impact of this figure on the country's economy cannot be overlooked, and efforts to ensure it is sustained are definitely a step in the right direction. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Away from Nigeria, tragedy struck Western Cameroon Wednesday as 2 landslides claimed at least 4 lives, with many more feared buried under the debris. Now, the West Regional Governor, Augustine Awafonka, confirmed ongoing search and rescue efforts as teamwork to recover bodies and locate possible survivors. Now, the first landslide struck mid-morning along the Chang Cliff Road, a notoriously dangerous route through the mountainous region. This initial slide halted traffic, with emergency crews using heavy machinery to clear the way. However, a second larger landslide struck during the recovery operations, engulfing 3 heavy machines, 3 passenger coaches, 5 smaller vehicles, multiple motorbikes, as well as bystanders and local residents. Now, rescue operations are continuing as authorities work to address the devastation caused by the natural disaster. Energy experts, together with delegates, are gathered in Cape Town, South Africa, to discuss and reshape the future of energy in Africa and how it plays a crucial role in the economic landscape. News Central's Bongani Siziba has more.
It's a gathering that centers around sustainable energy solutions and the importance of collaboration. in driving economic growth. Delegates from across Africa are presenting their unique approaches to leveraging their energy resources, with a particular focus on how this initiative not only transform energy sector but also boost national economies.
Lots of collaboration, people trying to find solutions on how we can put many of the fields and projects on stream, how we can find new ways to finance it so that we can all look at energy security, which is quite big and quite high in the agenda of the African countries.
Insights like these are valuable as African nations strive to harness their energy potential. Delegates share best practices, forge new partnerships, and develop strategies to navigate the complex landscape of energy transition.
Here in this hall in Cape Town, we have so many African women that are going to shape our narrative for the future, and we are not going to back down. I think our industry, our continent, its time has come. The time for us to really tell that African story, written from Cape to Cairo, written from Kampala to Dakar, but also written from the streets of Luanda to the streets around Kano, that we are going to determine a path that shapes industry, a path that shapes the future, and then pass it down to more other young people.
This year's summit shines a spotlight on innovation, investment, and collaboration. Leaders, investors, and experts are not just exchanging ideas, they are making deals that will transform the energy landscape of Africa.
That we need to continue to work hard, work as a team to develop our resources, and of course, at the end of the day, benefit our own countries, bring economic and social development for our continent.
Among prominent voices, delegates from Nigeria took center stage to highlight the country's energy sector, a critical component of its economic growth. South African Minister of Electricity, Josieko Ramakgopa, gave insights on the importance of energy in the economy and how South Africa is navigating in the sector.
It is not just a commodity, it is a keystone for development. The political economy of energy shapes every dimension of life on our continent, from social progress and economic growth to industrialization and job creation.
As discussions continue, one thing is clear: Africa is poised to be a leader in the global energy sector. Platforms like these are essential for moving from rhetoric to real-world solutions. In Cape Town, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
News reaching us now says that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, has passed away at the age of 56. Now, Lagbaja's death comes after a period of treatment of undisclosed illness. Appointed by President Bola Tinubu on June 19, 2023, General Lagbaja served in his position for a little over a year, and last month on October 20, the Nigerian Army had actually dispelled rumors of his passing, confirming that he was receiving medical care abroad. Now, the Army has not yet released further details regarding his passing, but our thoughts are, with his family, his colleagues, and the nation at large as they mourn the significant loss. And with that, we've come to the end of the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. You heard that Republicans win control of U.S. Senate. You also heard that Nigeria plunged into darkness as power grid collapses again. Finally, we told you that dual landslides claim at least 4 lives in Cameroon, many feared trapped. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen. Usman.